All right, everyone, the saga of stupidity continues. Leonel Moreno in focus here. He's that Venezuelan illegal coming to the United States to teach other people. He's a shit talk influencer. We'll get to that in a moment. Teaching people about how to enter buildings that are unoccupied and squat there, and then take advantage of certain states' laws with regards to squatting in order to effectively steal the property. Now, this leads to essentially endless litigation under some of these states' dumb laws. And the idea is that the average homeowner, they find that, a family has set up shop in their property and they're like, what the fuck is happening here? Then they find out that actually it's kind of legal. So then they have to start a court case and file a bunch of paperwork and stuff and hire a lawyer, and it drains the coffers. So if you're not doing this to somebody with significant means, then under certain state laws, you can get fucked, because you're like, well, on the one hand, they're illegally occupying my property, but on the other hand, I'm going to have to take out like a $50,000 loan to file all the paperwork, hire the lawyer, and everything else that I'm going to need to do. I don't have time off from my job to go to court every single day, and so it just becomes a pain in the ass for people. And so it's a unscrupulous tactic that's sometimes misused. Yes, if you occupy a property and you materially improve it and the homeowner is aware of it and does nothing about it for an extended period of time, eventually I would say, de facto, you kind of earned the property because they've effectively abandoned it to you and done nothing about it. But under certain state laws, even if you try to do something about it in short order, you can still get fucked. I think California is one of those states, so go there. Nobody cares. Trust me. I mean, it's not going to change the voting demographics. Hell, the illegal immigrants probably lean right more than the average native-born San Franciscan. This case is interesting, though, because you've got a person from Venezuela illegally in the country, professing the fact that they're illegally in the country, and encouraging people to do something that under certain states' laws is also illegal. Now he's got ICE after him, so he's on the run at this time and hadn't posted for a while. And it reminded me of back in the day, like I was posting videos on YouTube, right? This is back when I was just a YouTuber instead of a broad branching content creator. I mean, I made videos about my drug use. I was using psilocybin and mescaline and acid and stuff like that. And I'm glad that there wasn't a more beefy enforcement of the rules at the time, and that investigations into wrongdoing on the web weren't more common, because I mean, I could have gone to prison or something like that. Never possessed enough of anything to probably be a felon, but, I could have gotten slapped with a misdemeanor and had my student loans taken away. Could have gotten kicked out of UVM. Not that they really cared. The room checks there were basically, they opened your door, said, hi, bye, and then they left. So, yeah, I mean, there were drugs in my drawer several times when they came calling. The first time was nerve-wracking, then I realized, oh, that's right, I'm UVM. It doesn't really matter too much. Although there was another incident. It has nothing to do with Moreno, by the way. The suite mates that I had, I think, in the first year, or was it the second year, I can't remember which one, they were massive weed heads. And there was one time when they had dragged, like, filters for, that they were making reefers, basically. But they scattered them all the way from the front entrance downstairs to the second floor where we were, and all the way to their suite door. And I'm like, number one, it's a mess. Number two, you people are a mess. And I do believe they got kicked out because they found them with a bale of weed in there. They were selling, they were making joints basically, and then they were selling them. I think they were middlemaning or something like that. It probably made a lot of money, but they lost their loans and got kicked out. And I said good riddance, because they one time they destroyed the bathroom. There was shit and puke everywhere, and they never cleaned it up. And like a couple days later, I'm like, look, you need to fix your shit. I ended up cleaning it up the first time. The second time I got pissed and I told them to knock it off. They didn't do it again because then they got kicked out. But I would like to point out one thing, which is that the right-wing media, and I'm not saying that the border crisis doesn't exist. It clearly does, and it's a very bad situation. But when you worry too much about this individual teaching illegals how to squat on properties, keep a couple things in mind. This is why the damage done by an idiot like this is rather ameliorated. First, it only applies in a handful of states. So if you try to do that in North Dakota, I don't think it's going to work. If you try to do that even here in Vermont, I mean, we've got strong renters protection laws. If somebody's on your property with your permission for an extended period of time, you can't compel them to leave without signing paperwork. but that's like a month-long process and a couple $100 fee. In certain states, you're not so lucky. If you don't apparently stay at your property physically at all times with a loaded shotgun or something, eventually some Venezuelan family is going to be residing in your attic. But here's why the influence won't go that far. And you shouldn't even really call anyone who's a TikTok star an influencer at all. I spoke years ago with several people. When I mentioned TikTok in the first place, my aversion to it, I said that I had the feeling, based on the growth rate of the site and sort of the wonkiness of how it appeared to operate, not having ever had an account there or anything like that, but just casually observing it, I had the feeling that there was a shit ton of botting going on. I said, okay, a lot of this engagement's not even real. And indeed, two different people separately over the course of several months came forward and told me, yes, indeed, I worked for TikTok for a while designing the site. And you are correct, sir. Something like 90% of those accounts aren't even real. Now, this was years ago. I have a feeling that now that there's an organic user base, they're throttling that back. But still, some of that engagement ain't real. Much of the engagement is not going to be illegal immigrants. It's going to be, the TikTok tween crowd or something like that. Well, I don't think that the average 13-year-old's going to try to squat on your derelict property, so I wouldn't worry. So when Fox raises a big stink about it, okay, this is going to impact maybe 100 people or something like that. It's not going to be a big problem. And he's on the run, so I mean, it's a little bit harder to make your shit talk videos when you're trying to hide your location because you're afraid of being deported. And the only reason ICE is going after him specifically is because it broke national news. They don't want to deport anyone. They want illegals in the country and have no problem with squatters and stuff like that. It's just that it became a news story. So I'm not too worried about that, and eventually they might catch him. It depends on how smart or stupid he is, based on the fact that he's openly proclaiming that he's illegally in the United States, bragging about it, etc., etc. I would say he's more on the dumb side than anything else. Also, if you wanted to reach an actual organic audience, you should be on fucking Rumble or something like that. You should have a BitChute channel and be on YouTube. TikTok ain't the place to do it. Have you seen TikTok feeds? Again, I don't use it, but my mom actually uses TikTok, which I find distasteful, but, I don't understand. The demographics of the internet have gone to shit. They've gone all loony. It used to be, for instance, when Facebook began getting loaded up with all of our parents and grandparents, a lot of people kind of stopped using the site except for personal communication because, it's no longer cool, It's been ruined by boomers and people of other old ages. Generation, the silent generation is on Facebook, so it kind of destroyed the brand, and people who still like Zuckerberg, they mainly moved to Instagram. But it's a weird case. Why on earth would you announce to the world, yeah, by the way, I'm violating the laws of this country every moment that I'm here, and I'm encouraging you to do the same thing? Well, this ain't 2007, buddy. It's harder to get away with it these days. That's about all. Peace out.